शीशा बना
चौबीस वालों चाहिए चाहिए वो आगे आगे
सुबह आगे तो आप
बेटा कैसे हो ठीक है
Oh, muscle is just fat.
ये तेरा वसीला है। ठीक है तो इसको काटी जा रहा हूँ बनानी है ना वही तो पूछ रहा हूँ ना तो मेरी है ना एक दिन ले आए
Not only that, we are Sargonians also. क्या करें? क्या करें? मेरी जल्दी आया हुआ है. Yeah, बिल्कुल है. वो नेट. We are fortunate, sir. Oh, good.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم صدق الله العظيم. अल्लाह के नाम से शुरू जो बड़ा मेहरबान नहायत रहम करने वाला है। पढ़ो ए नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, नाम लेकर अपने रब का जिसने पैदा किया इंसान को खून की पटकी से। पढ़ो और तुम्हारा रब बड़ा करीम वाला है, जिसने इल्म सिखाया कलम के ज़रिए से, सिखाया इंसान को जो वो नहीं जानता था। जज़ाकल्लाह।
Honorable guests, it is my extreme privilege to welcome you all to this book launch ceremony. We are not just attending this book launch ceremony, but in fact honoring a gentleman who served in Pakistan Army with grace and honor for about 25 years. Belonging to a very noble family, famously known as Alam Khan brothers, 9 individuals hailing from the same family who served Pakistan Armed Forces and reached the zenith of their professional pursuits. It is another unique honor for this family that 6 out of 9 brothers participated in 1965 India-Pakistan War and 8 brothers participated in 1971 war as Squadron Leader Mushtaq Alam Khan embraced Shahadat during 1965 war. Today, we are blessed to have the presence of Zahir Khan's family and friends who will apprise us more about this honorable family. Our foremost speaker for today's ceremony is the editor of this book, Lieutenant General Tahir Mahmood Qazi, who was commissioned in June 1970 in the Regiment of Artillery. Serving at various command, staff, and instructional appointments, General got retired in October 2006 as Commander, Army Air Defense Command. Later, he served as Pakistan's High Commissioner to Malaysia for 3 years. Since his return, he is editing and republishing books to project Pakistan's soft image and Pakistan's narrative. This is the 8th book which he has edited. Sir, I request you to kindly come to the podium and share your thoughts about this book. Lieutenant General Tahir Mahmood Qasim, over to you, sir.
General Yusuf, former Vice Chief of Army Staff, members of the great Alam family, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. It's my privilege and unique honor to stand here and speak on the book The Way It Was and about Brigadier Zahir Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, William Shakespeare in his drama Twelfth Night wrote, and I quote, "Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and others have greatness thrust upon them." This is exactly what happened to Brigadier Zahir Khan, and in the same order. Born in a renowned family, Alam brothers as they are now known, then trained from PMA, the world's premium military academy, and then the SSG, the elite force of Pakistan, and finally the greatness thrusted upon him during the turmoil in erstwhile East Pakistan in 1971, and subsequently the war in the Western Theatre. The book was first published by Mr. Ikram Sehgal in 1998, and later it was selected by the Services Book Club and issued to all the member officers. The book was very well received. When General Javed Alam asked me to redo the book in 2022, I accepted it with a passion for two reasons. One, that the book had a lot of strength in it, very candid and very truthfully explained. And the second reason was that Major Mahbub Alam, their father, was a colleague of my father, and they were serving together in survey of India and subsequently in survey of Pakistan. So here was an opportunity for me to pay homage to both of them. I'm grateful to Jana Javed Alam and remain indebted for this honor bestowed upon me. Our deep gratitude to Mr. Sehgal for granting the permission to republish the book, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, biographies are like a mirror in which the generations and the nations see their images. And the quality of image in this case is directly proportional to the truth and objectivity which goes in the book. That way, the image in this book is very real and very clear. When I was going through the book, then I came across a passing sentence where Brigadier Zahir Khan described the situation in Battle of Loganewala. In the absence of air cover by PF, IAF was having a field day. In utter frustration, he wrote that now the aircrafts were being engaged by the main gun of the tank. Being from air defense, I challenged it. Never ever heard of it before. How come the tank gun can meet the gunnery parameters of the engagement of an aircraft? And if it is so, then we should pack up and go home. So my research started, and ladies and gentlemen, it did happen. And the firer was nobody other than Brigadier, then Major Talat Saeed, serving in 22 CAV. My research further took me to the victim, Wing Commander Kuki Suresh. He was flying Hawker Hunter, And he said that when I dived, I saw the gun being elevated. At the moment I fired, there was a flash from the gun. And instead of listening sound, I heard a thud and was lucky to land back. We have included this as a footnote in the book, and we have included the pictures and the story in the photo gallery. That is where you get some latitude to play around. This is the only example in the world since the aircraft and the tanks came on the battlefield. As I said, the book is very candid. Just one example. Brigadier Zahir describes his meeting with General A.K. Niazi. He writes, and I quote, "When I met General Niazi in the Eastern Command headquarters, I failed to impress him, as I was a far cry from the idea of a commando. I wore glasses, had 2 teeth missing, did not have an athletic build-up, and was given to disagreeing and objecting," unquote. One verse of Allama Iqbal, I think, sums up the book, and that is, "Ain-e-Juwan mardan, haq goi wa bebaki, Allah ke sheron ko aati nahi rubai." And for those, the new generation, not very familiar with the Urdu verses, in Persian, Farsi में लूमड़ी को रुबा कहते हैं. And since चलाकियाँ, तो रुबाई means चलाकियाँ. So the verse is, Allah के शेरों को आती नहीं रुबाई. The special edition is an improved version as footnotes have been added, chapters are named, and sub-para headings are given. Towards the end, a new chapter has been added, giving brief introduction of the Alam family. It took me almost about a year. It was, and it has been, a labor of love. My special thanks to Colonel Iftikhar Haider for joining me in this noble cause, without whom it would not have been possible to produce the special edition in a befitting manner. I acknowledge and thank Lieutenant Colonel Zahid Mumtaz. Where is he? Oh, thank you. Armored Corps for his support in tracing out the officers of bygone years. He has a tremendous passion for keeping the record of Armored Corps officers. I must appreciate Subedar Karam Hussain, my PA during the military service, for typing, retyping, and again typing the script with passion and patience. My deep gratitude and appreciation to Mr. Haris Alam Khan for designing the jacket in black and white color scheme. This also depicts the life philosophy of Brigadier Zahir Khan. He believed in either or, and there was no gray area that he floated. And so is the theme of the book. Before I leave the rostrum, ladies and gentlemen, there's a message in the book for all of us, which I would like to share. In the epilogue, Brigadier Zahir Khan describes as to how most of them joined the army. For some, it was a job like any other profession, and for others, it was a trust given by the country to defend it. Some did the job, and some fulfilled the trust. Ladies and gentlemen, all of you, irrespective of the gender, when next you see yourself in the mirror, ask a question to yourself and be a judge. Where do you fall in this spectrum? किताब ज़रूर पढ़िएगा, इससे अल्लामा इकबाल की एक दुआ कबूल हो जाएगी, खुदाया आरज़ू मेरी यही है, मेरा नूरे बसीरत आम कर दे. Let everybody be like Brigadier Zahir Khan. I thank you.
Thank you, General Tahir Kazi. Undoubtedly, the life of a soldier and men in uniform is entirely different, unusual, and tough. They spend their time in deserts, snowbound mountains, rugged terrains, seas, creeks, and air. Although we all praise their fearlessness and bravery, yet seldom have an insight to what actually they go through. Zahir Khan's book has afforded us an opportunity to peep through this haze and come to know what life in army is all about. We are now going to showcase a documentary for you, which is prepared by Squadron Leader Shoaib Alam Khan, Sitara-e-Jurat. After his retirement from Pakistan Air Force, he started collecting family memoirs and made documentaries and video clips. Voiceover of this documentary is by Mrs. Sabuha Khan, wife of Squadron Leader Shoaib Alam Khan. Let's have a look on Alam Brothers.
कितने खुशकिस्मत होते हैं वो वालिदैन जिनके बच्चे मुल्क व कौम की तारीख में कुंदन की तरह दमकते हैं, मगर बाज मर्तबा दे जाते हैं जुदाई के कुछ गम, कुछ आहें और कुछ आंसू। खुशी गम पर भारी है और गम खुशी पर। ले गए साथ मेरी उम्र गुज़िश्ता की किताब, इसके बदले मुझे तुम दे गए जाते जाते अपने गम का ये दमकता हुआ खूरंग गुलाब।
मेजर महबूब आलम खान, तमग़ा क़ायद आज़म। मेजर महबूब आलम खान ने अलीगढ़ से तालीम हासिल की। 1927 में सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया ज्वाइन किया। दूसरी जंग अज़ीम में रॉयल इंडियन इंजीनियर्स में कमीशन हासिल किया और इराक़, बर्मा, मलाया और सिंगापुर में काम किया। 1947 में सर्वे ऑफ पाकिस्तान से मुंसलिक होकर पाकिस्तान पहुँचे और डिप्टी सर्वेयर जनरल होकर रिटायर हुए। महबूब आलम खान का शुमार पाकिस्तान सर्वे के बानियों में होता है। वो एक रोल मॉडल के तौर पर याद रखे जाएंगे। अमीरुन्निसा, वो बहादुर माँ जिसके 9 बेटों ने इस पाक सरजमीन पर अपना खून भी बहाया और बहादुरी की तारीख भी रकम की। वो माँ जो अपने बेटे मेजर एजाज आलम की शहादत पर बार बार कहती थी, शहीद मरते नहीं, जिंदा रहते हैं। शहीद की जो मौत है वो कौम की हयात है। अमीरुन्निसा एक मजहबी खातून थीं। शायद इसी वजह से वो बहुत मजबूत थीं। बड़े से बड़े सदमे के बावजूद उन्होंने अपनी इबादत नीम शबी को बरकरार रखा। खाके मरकत पर तेरी लेकर ये फरियाद आऊँगा, अब दुआए नीम शब में किसको मैं याद आऊँगा। बिल्किस खान, जो ब्रिगेडियर ज़हीर आलम के बाद पैदा हुई और इकलौती होने के बायस वो सबकी लाडली थीं। 9 भाइयों की इकलौती बहन बिल्किस खान, जिन्होंने सेंट डेनिस मरी में इब्तदाई तालीम हासिल की। कैनेट कॉलेज लाहौर से बैचलर्स किया। लाहौर यूनिवर्सिटी से फर्स्ट क्लास फर्स्ट डिवीज़न में मास्टर्स किया। मगर अफसोस कि वो अपने भाइयों को कामयाबी की राह पर जाते हुए नहीं देख सकीं, क्योंकि एक हादसे में उनका इंतकाल हो गया। ब्रिगेडियर ज़हीर आलम खान, तमग़ा पाकिस्तान, जिन्होंने पाक फ़ौज में भर्ती होकर तमाम भाइयों को एक राह दिखला दी। लॉरेंस कॉलेज घोड़ा गली से तालीम हासिल की। 1951 में कमीशन हासिल किया। उसके बाद SSG में गए। वो फ़ौज के तमाम अफसरों में एक उसूल पसंद अफसर के तौर पर जाने जाते हैं। 1971 में शेख मुजीब को गिरफ्तार करने में एक अहम किरदार उन्होंने अदा किया। उन्हें 13th कैवलरी के कर्नल ऑफ द रेजिमेंट होने का एजाज़ भी हासिल है। 1970 और 71 में उन्होंने अपनी माहिराना सरबराही में हर ऑपरेशन में कामयाब होकर SSG का नाम सरबलंद कर दिया। लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल फिरोज़ आलम खान, जिनकी मौत पर एक अफसर ने लिखा, मुझे नहीं मालूम कि उनकी मौत पर तोपों की सलामी दी गई या नहीं, या उनको फ़ौजी एजाज़ात के साथ सपुर्द खाक किया गया या नहीं, मगर मैं इतना जानता हूँ कि अगर एक कमांडिंग अफसर की मिसाली तस्वीर बनाई जाए तो फ़िरोज़ आलम उसकी बेहतरीन मिसाल होंगे। फ़िरोज़ आलम ने 65 और 71 की जंगों में हिस्सा लिया। छम जौरियाँ सेक्टर पर जिस बटालियन ने पहला हमला किया, फ़िरोज़ आलम उसको कमांड कर रहे थे। चमकती मुस्कुराती आंखों वाले स्क्वाड्रन लीडर शोएब आलम खान, सितारा-ए-जुरत, लॉरेंस कॉलेज से तालीम हासिल की। 18 साल की उम्र में कमीशन हासिल किया। लेकिन बास ख्वाब अधूरे रह जाते हैं। शुएब आलम पायलट नहीं बन सके, मगर एक कामयाब नेविगेटर ज़रूर बन गए। रन ऑफ कच्छ कश्मीर 1965 और 1971 की जंगों में हिस्सा लिया। 1965 में बेहतरीन कारकर्दगी पर सितारा जुरत हासिल किया। 1971 में मेडिकली ग्राउंड किए जाने के बावजूद जंग में हिस्सा लिया। 1974 में जबरी रिटायरमेंट हुई। उनकी कायदाना सलाहियतों को देखते हुए ये कहना गलत ना होगा कि बॉम्बर्स के कामयाब मिशंस का सेहरा उनके सर है। जनरल शमीम आलम खान सितारा जुरत। शमीम आलम खान का सितारा लियो था और यकीनन वो किसी शेर से कम नहीं थे। उन्होंने लॉरेंस कॉलेज घोड़ागली से तालीम हासिल की, गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज लाहौर से एफएससी किया, 1956 में कमीशन हासिल किया और आर्मर्ड कोर ज्वाइन की। 1965 में एसएसजी की कंपनी कमांड की, जहां बेहतरीन कारकर्दगी पर सितारा जुरत हासिल किया। 1971 में छम सेक्टर पर 28 कैवलरी के साथ एक्शन देखा और उसके बाद आर्मर्ड रेजिमेंट, आर्मर्ड ब्रिगेड, आर्मर्ड डिवीजन और इन्फेंट्री डिवीजन कमांड करने के बाद सीजीएस का ओहदा संभाला। मुल्तान और भावलपुर के कोर कमांडर रहे और फिर चेयरमैन जॉइंट चीफ के ओहदे से रिटायर हुए। वाइस एडमिरल शमून आलम खान, जिन्होंने सब भाइयों से हटकर समंदर की लहरों पर तैरने का फैसला किया। अगर कहा जाए कि वो भाइयों में सबसे ज़्यादा जिंदा दिल हैं तो गलत ना होगा। 1960 में कमीशन हासिल किया, 65 और 71 की जंगों में हिस्सा लिया। माइन स्वीपर, डिस्ट्रॉयर स्क्वाड्रन, नेवल एसएसजी, पीएनएस रहबर और पाकिस्तान फ्लीट कमांड की। इसके बाद कॉम्पैक का ओहदा संभाला और रिटायर होने के बाद ट्यूनिस और यूक्रेन में सफ़ीर रहे। विंग कमांडर आफ्ताब आलम खान तमगाए बसालत, जिनकी मुस्कुराहट के पीछे एक पुरअज़्म और आहनी शख्सियत है। यकीनन उन्हें इकबाल का आहनी मुजाहिद कहा जा सकता है। उन्होंने अपनी इब्तदाई ट्रेनिंग अमेरिका में हासिल की और गनरी में पहली पोजीशन हासिल करने पर उन्हें टॉप गन का एजाज़ मिला। ये वो मुजाहिद है जिसने 1965 में 6 सितंबर को हिंदुस्तान का पहला जहाज़ गिराया। दुनिया में ये पहली मर्तबा हुआ कि 104 स्टार फाइटर जहाज़ से कोई दूसरा जहाज़ गिराया गया। 1960 में एयरफोर्स में कमीशन हासिल किया, 65 और 71 की जंगों में नुमाया हिस्सा लिया, अमेरिका से स्टाफ कॉलेज किया और उसमें नुमाया कामयाबी हासिल की। 1976 में जबरी रिटायरमेंट ली गई। 104 में उन्होंने 23 मिशंस किए। फ्लाइट लेफ्टिनेंट मुश्ताक आलम खान शहीद, एक और फाइटर पायलट। किसी भी शोबे में कामयाबी हासिल करने के लिए उस काम से जुनून की हद तक इश्क करना ज़रूरी है। बुझी इश्क की आग अंधेर है, मुसलमान नहीं राख का ढेर है। मुश्ताक आलम का शुमार उन नौजवानों में होता है जो मुल्क के इश्क में कम उम्र ही में शहीद हो जाते हैं। अमेरिका में ट्रेनिंग हासिल की, 1962 में कमीशन हासिल किया, 1965 की जंग में हिस्सा लिया, 21 मिशंस किए और 1967 में एयर एक्सरसाइज कॉम्बैट में शहीद हो गए। कैप्टन एजाज आलम खान शहीद, शहादत है मतलूब व मकसूद मोमिन, न माले गनीमत न किश्वर कुशाई। ये M48 टैंक 1971 में कैप्टन एजाज आलम 13 लांसेस की कमांड में था। ये वो टैंक है जिसने 3 इंडियन सेंचुरियन टैंक्स तबाह किए, 16 इंडिपेंडेंट आर्मर्ड ब्रिगेड ग्रुप और 1 इंडियन डिवीजन को आगे बढ़ने से रोका। दुश्मन का हमला पसपा हो गया, मगर टैंक का बाजू दुश्मन की जद में आ गया और एजाज आलम शहीद हो गए। एजाज आलम और उनके अमले की बहादुरी आइंदा आने वाली नस्लों के लिए मिशल राह रहेगी। लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल जावेद आलम खान, लॉरेंस कॉलेज से तालीम हासिल की, 1971 अप्रैल में आर्टिलरी रेजिमेंट में कमीशन हासिल किया, 71 की जंग में छम जोड़ियाँ सेक्टर पर खिदमात अंजाम दी। कुछ अरसे बाद अपनी लाइन बदली और 24 कैवलरी ज्वाइन किया। मुल्तान में टैंक रेजिमेंट कमांड की, लंदन में आर्मी एडवाइज़र मुकर्रर किए गए। गुजरांवाला में इन्फेंट्री ब्रिगेड और फिर इन्फेंट्री डिवीज़न कमांड की। कुछ अर्सा ISI में भी गुजारा और फिर मंगला में कोर कमांडर रहे। 2006 में रिटायर हुए। इन्हें कर्नल ऑफ द रेजिमेंट 24 कैवेलरी और कर्नल कमांडेंट आर्मर्ड कोर होने का शर्फ भी हासिल है।
इस डॉक्यूमेंट्री को देखने के बाद हम सब के जहनों में ज़रूर ये आता होगा, सिद्क़े खलील भी है इश्क, सब्र हुसैन भी है इश्क, मार्का वजूद में बदरो हुनैन भी है इश्क, आलम ब्रदर्स इंडीड अ प्राइड फॉर नेशन। कहा यह जाता है कि हर कामयाब मर्द के पीछे एक औरत का हाथ होता है। लाइकवाइज बेगम ज़ैद ख़ान हमारे साथ आज मौजूद है। Begum Zahir Khan was married to Brigadier Zahir Khan for over 40 years, and this included her 13 years in the army. In these 13 years, besides bringing up 2 daughters, she had to move her household 10 times all over East and West Pakistan as her husband's career progressed. This movement required patience and commitment, as each movement new house, new friends, new schools, and new environments. They finally settled in Karachi after retirement. We are lucky that she has graced the occasion and with us today. However, she has requested Vice Admiral Shamoon Alam Khan to address the audience on her behalf. Vice Admiral Shamoon Alam Khan was commissioned in the Pakistan Navy from the Royal Naval Academy, Dartmouth. In the course of his career, he has commanded every type of surface ship in the Navy. He has also commanded the Naval SSG, the Naval Academy, the Joint Services Staff College, and has attended the Royal College of Defence Studies, United Kingdom. His last appointment was Commander Pakistan Fleet, and he got retired in 1995. Post-retirement, he has been Ambassador to Tunisia and Ukraine. I request Admiral Shamoon to kindly come to the podium.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor to represent my Bhavi Nuzhat Alam and nieces Naila Alam and Muniza in order to celebrate this early afternoon, and I term it as happy hour. The Navy has been roped in under the orders of Lieutenant General Javed Alam, the youngest brother of the Alam clan, to pay tribute to our eldest brother, Brigadier Zahir Khan, who was better known as Zede. In order to do this, I will be disappointing some of you by saying that I have not come here to praise Zede. On my part, there will be no glorifications and no pretenses. In order to do away with some long faces in the audience, I will tell you that the Alam family will reassure you that Zede did not like praise, he did not like makhan, and he did not like apple polishers. Therefore, I have no option but to disclose to you some dark home truths of the Alam family. In order to describe the life we led in the Alam home, In the Murray Hills, I will draw on a Farsi saying, "It is better to be a dog than to be a younger brother." A younger brother is treated like scum. He has to do all the dirty work and is bullied. By good fortune, I brought up the middle order of the Alam clan, and therefore I was saved half of this agony. Imagine what Aftab and Javed had to go through since they brought up the tail end. One of the blessings of being a younger brother is that one did not have to worry about his wardrobe. The clothes came automatically down the line. They were well used with holes and patches at the rear end of the trousers and the knees. Therefore, the modern fashionable trend of wearing patched clothing came early and easy to us. Of course, with the clothing, if they were too loose, we were told, "Sabr, you will grow into them." One positive which came with the clothing was the experience that made us so much the wiser. When I look back at my brothers before me, Zede, Feroz, Shuaib, and Shamim, I am today a beneficiary of these outstanding men in uniform. Aftab and Javed were, of course, the tail-enders and the end beneficiaries. Zede's close friends considered him and indeed the Alam family to suffer from a disease which they fondly termed as the Alam kink. I will explain this rare disease in 5 short episodes. I will start with my mother, who was deeply religious. A newspaper reporter asked her that, "Do your sons say their namaz? Do they keep rozas? And have they done Hajj?" Her reply was that her sons are not Hajis, they are Pajis, which meant they are very naughty. The second is when Zede Khan, as a green second lieutenant, in an exercise lost a confidential map. In order to make good the loss, he went to our father to obtain a replacement copy. My father told him that since you lost the map, which was an accountable item, you should therefore face the music. The third relates to then Lieutenant Javed Alam, being ordered by his battery commander to cut down some trees for building bunkers for troops' accommodation. The matter was duly reported and an inquiry instituted. The CO bluntly denied giving any such orders, and the blame came down to Javed. Javed went to Big Brother, who was then the Colonel's staff. Big Brother's ruling was that since he did cut down the trees, he should therefore face the music. The fourth occurrence was when Zede's GOC proudly presented his 1971 war plan and made the mistake of asking for comments. Zede, then a lieutenant colonel, was quick off the mark, and he found a lot of faults in the plan. The GOC asked him as to how does he rectify these faults. Zede's kinky reply was that it was not his problem, but it was the GOC's job to do so. One would be surprised that after such a kinky reply, Zede even made a brigadier. The last episode involves me. Zede, on 25th March 1971, while commanding 2 Commando Battalion, arrested Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Soon after that, he moved to Kaptai Dam with orders to attack and retake Rangamati from enemy control. At this time, I had accompanied General Akbar, DG ISI, to Chittagong, and at the same time, intelligence information was received that the enemy had withdrawn from Rangamati. I volunteered to carry this intelligence information to Zede and to tell him to exercise caution while attacking. On arrival at Kaptai, I found Zede and his commandos ready to launch a waterborne assault across the lake from Kaptai to Rangamati, which was the first and last assault of its kind in our military history. On reading the message, he asked me if the intelligence was authentic and had the enemy actually withdrawn. I replied that I was only the messenger and it was not my problem, but his job to decide and then face the music. I soon realized that he didn't have the foggiest idea as to how to sail his commandeered boats and navigate those tricky waters. I therefore asked him if I could help by accompanying him. To my most generous offer, he remarked, "Okay, it is your funeral." We landed at sunset and he took Rangamati without any loss. By this time, my stomach was growling with hunger. I then asked Big Brother as to what do we do for dinner. After all the help that I had rendered, his reply certainly sounded kinky. He said that amongst us commandos, we have a rule that each one fends food for himself. And that, General Javed Alam, brings me to the end of my kinky tribute to Brigadier Zede Khan. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you, Admiral Shamoon, for sharing some candid moments from Alam Brothers. Ladies and gentlemen, the profession of armed forces in Pakistan is one of the most prestigious occupations that our youth wish to adopt. The Pakistan Armed Forces enjoy prestige and respect amongst the populace because of their hard work, dedication, and sacrifices in the line of their duty. We are in debt for their invaluable contribution to the security of our dear homeland, Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, Brigadier Zahir Alam Khan was popularly known as Zede Khan among his friends. And we are honored to have one of his friends with us, Mr. Ikram Sehgal, who is an ex-soldier, a prolific writer, media commentator, and a very successful businessman. He was commissioned in 1965 and posted to 2nd East Bengal Regiment. Later, he joined Army Aviation in 1968. He has the distinction of flying Lieutenant General Sahibzada Yaqub and Major General Khadim Hussain Raja in East Pakistan. In mid-March 1971, he was posted back to 2nd EBR. The battalion revolted and crossed into India and handed Captain Ikram and many West Pakistani officers and men of EBR and EPR to the Indian prisoner of war camp at Panagarh. In August 71, he became the first Pakistani to escape from an Indian POW camp. He returned to East Pakistan via Nepal, Burma, and Thailand. In November 71, he was posted to 44 Punjab, which is now 4 Sindh in Chor sector. It was commanded by Lieutenant Colonel, later Brigadier Muhammad Taj, Sitare Jurred, and Bar, where he was given a battlefield promotion to the rank of Major. His rifle company was named Sehgal Company after him. After leaving the army, he developed his own business, which was very successful. Later, he also served as the head or director of various national and international companies and entities. Apart from regularly contributing to the print media, he is a regular speaker at war colleges in Pakistan and across the globe. He also delivers lectures at various institutions and think tanks in USA. He has written 2 books, Escape from Oblivion and Blood Over Different Shades of Green. He has a long personal association with Alam Khan family, having studied with Mushtaq Sahib and Ijaz Sahib in Comilla in 1953 and later in Lawrence College, Ghoda Gali in 1958. Brigadier Zahir Khan also worked with him in the Pathfinder group from 1985 to 1993. Mr. Ikram Sehgal published both the books of Brigadier Zahir Khan, The Way It Was and Weapon and Tactics. I request Mr. Ikram Sehgal to kindly come to the podium and share his memories. So over to you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Alam family. A lot of people would be surprised to see me on the stage, but I go back to when I was about 7 years old, and Mushtaq and Ijaz were with me in Our Lady of Fatima convent in Comilla. In fact, we used to live downstairs and they used to live upstairs. And later on, all 3 of us went to GG almost together in 1958. I'm going to skip over a lot of details, but I just want to talk about a little bit about East Pakistan, about things which cannot ever be written. I'm sure nobody of you have ever heard of a gentleman called Lal Denga. Lal Denga was a Mizo chief, and Zede and Brigadier Zede and a group of officers like Salman, etc. They used the SSG, they used to go across and feed the Nagas, the Mizos, the Manipuris, whatever you may say. And from time to time, I was detailed to take them across to that thing. Lal Denga's daughter got hit in the stomach. And Brigadier Zede said, we've got to go and pick her up. A little north of what Shoaib Alam has been talking about, from Rangamati, a place called Bada Lankar and Chota Lankar, little hillocks. But on the map, the place that he said was only about 10 kilometers inside India. So I looked at him. He said, what are you looking at me for? Let's go. So we went by, picked up Lal Denga, his daughter, and brought him to CMH Dhaka. Because of that one episode, the entire Mizo brigade fought alongside the Pakistan army throughout the war. And they kept begging in the Chittagong hill tracks, we can fight for decades, don't surrender. So you can imagine the course of history. And of course, he's talked about the Calcutta raid by boat. I don't know how you would have got there without navigation of Shoaib Alam, but let me say this, that the most pleasant years of my life were spent in the company of people like Colonel Sutullah, who was the chairman of the company at that time. When my father died, I got him as a chairman. And of course, his friends used to go and visit him, Brigadier Zede among them, Brigadier Rao Ahmed Hamid, Brigadier Asmat Beg, most of them Galleons, Brigadier Jafar Khan, etc. But one learnt about character. One learnt about patience. Byrne learned about stoicness. They never praised themselves, ever. And they never liked people who came and, like said, tried to praise them on their faces. A lot of things can be said. It's a matter of great pride to have been associated with the Alam family. I worked with him in both of his books, the way it was, and he's acknowledged that, but alongside with other people, and Weapon and Tactics. And I urge you, and if you don't, I will do it, to reproduce Weapon and Tactics. It's one of the finest books produced for young army officers. It's a must-read for them. So, what can one say? You know, one can only say that the Alam family, Brigadier Zahir, prominent among them, his two brothers who were very close friends of mine, both of them died, and I was emotional when I saw them on the screen today. It's something to cherish, something to not to forget. And instead of snide remarks at each other, that thing, we should eulogize greatness where greatness does lie. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, our Honorable Chief Guest, General Muhammad Yusuf Khan, Nishan-e-Imtiaz Military, ex-Vice Chief of Army Staff. General Yusuf was commissioned in 37th PMA and was posted to Guides Cavalry, his father's unit. In his illustrious military career, which saw him reach the highest rank achievable, he served in various command, staff, and instructional appointments. He has a long association with Alam Khan family for over 60 years. I request General Yusuf to kindly come to the stage, come to the podium and share your thoughts about Alam Khan family.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ashraful anbiya Sayyidul Mursaleen. Highly esteemed, most respected Begum Zahir Khan, venerate members of the Alam Khan family, Mr. Ikram Sehgal, Vice Admiral Shamoon Alam Khan, Wing Commander Aftab Alam Khan, Lieutenant General Javed Alam Khan, Lieutenant General Tahir Mahmood Qazi, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Almost a month ago, Javed Alam I had rung up Javed Alam for something. After I finished, he said he had a request and he wanted to invite me to the launch of the new edition of Brigadier Zahir's book, The Way It Was. I thanked him and told him that I will certainly attend, as it was one of the best books that I had ever read. After some time, he rang me up again with the opening sentence that he had a request. I thought he had forgotten that he invited me to the book launch. I did not know that besides his other qualities, he was also an exponent of the indirect strategy. His request now was that I be the chief guest at this function. I pleaded with Javed Alam that considering the brilliance of the book and the professional distinction of its author, I did not consider myself worthy of the honor. I requested him to find someone else more eminently suited for this honor. He did not relent despite my pleas. I read this book in July 2000 when it was issued by the Army Book Club. The book was so interesting and riveting that I read it through in, I think, about 3 days. This is definitely one of the best books I have read, if not the best. Like most, I love reading autobiographies. This is an autobiography of Brigadier Zahir Khan, mostly related to soldiering in peace and war. I hope I am not being unjustly judgmental when I say that a lot of books written by Pakistan military authors, unfortunately, are subjective. They are either attempts in self-glorification, self-justification, or eulogizing the achievements of their units and formations by exaggerating the facts or by whitewashing their shortcomings. Such books are rarely read, mostly scanned, and often find their final abode gathering dust in the almirahs and the bookshelves. The way it was based on truth and reality, and goes into the nitty-gritty of soldiering, starting from the junior levels and going right up to the top, with brutal frankness, candor, and total objectivity. This makes the book unique. I related more to this book and found it more alluring, as most of it was associated with armor. I, my father, and my forefathers were from the cavalry. The way it was, from start to end, is interspersed with a subtle sense of humor, characteristic of the Alam brothers. Brigadier Zahir describes the life of an armored corps officer at all stages. As a young officer in 13 Lancers, as a squadron commander in 23 Cavalry, and as commanding officer of 22 and 38 Cavalry, highlighting the training, man management, and command aspects both in peace and war. He covers joining the SSG at a nascent stage, raising, training, and commanding a commando company. I have known 3 brothers of Alam Khan family intimately. Captain Ejaz Alam Shaheed was my course mate and a very dear friend. I served as BM and commanding officer with General Shamim Alam Khan when he commanded 10 Independent Armored Brigade Group. Lieutenant General Javed Alam served with me as a brigade commander when I was commanding 1 Armored Division, and later as Commander 1 Corps when I was the Vice Chief of the Army Staff. Tragically, the only time I was directly involved with Brigadier Zahir was when he had died. I recall when I was COS, I had received a letter from his daughter. The letter stated the circumstances leading to Brigadier Zahir's death in PNS Shifa, wherein no specialist attended to him for over 2 hours while he was undergoing a massive heart attack, despite the whole family running from pillar to post to get some specialist to see him. I recall she had mentioned that her father considered and termed all civilian doctors as quacks and had trust only in the army doctors. She also remarked that nothing could bring her father back, and she was only writing so that this kind of a thing does not recur. I endorse this letter with very strong remarks to have the whole happening investigated and those responsible for the lapse punished. The inquiry put up to me was a complete cover-up, stating that no one could be held responsible. I did not agree at all, and after obtaining facts from the family through General Shamim Alam, had those responsible punished. I later learned that the Commandant PNS Shifa, who was likely to be promoted as a Major General, was superseded. I had never served close to Brigadier Zahir or under him. I had only seen him as a Lieutenant Colonel from a distance. I only met Brigadier Zahir socially 2 or 3 times after he had retired, and always in Karachi. Having read the way it was, I feel I know him as well as the 3 brothers, if not more, by just reading his book. I will say a few words on the insight into Brigadier Zahir's personality and the impressions that I formed only by reading the book. Those of you who knew him could comment whether I am correct or not. Brigadier Zahir was a great leader of men, both in peace and war. He exhibited exceptional leadership qualities, particularly under adverse environments. In my opinion, he was also a model armor officer, a blend of technical and tactical competence, extremely decisive, always taking decisions in complex and unfamiliar environments in the absence of orders and at times in defiance of orders, if the situation or the mission or the cause so dictated it. He was very bold and innovative in his approach and often came up with out-of-box solutions. He was always mission-oriented in his approach and conduct. Anything which detracted from it, he always opposed wherever it came from, even when it came from the seniors. When you don't agree with the senior, you are required to state your views and objections firmly, while staying within the norms of discipline. Having done that, however, you can't expect your senior to always agree. There were commanders who, blessed with the equity of practical judgment, could dispassionately and even-handedly figure out that if they followed orders, it might be detrimental to the cause. They risked their careers disobeying such orders. Brigadier Zahir belonged to this dying breed of officers who were officers of character with the courage of conviction, who were considered difficult subordinates for anyone trying to command them through weight of their ranks. They were actually more disciplined when seen in the context of mission accomplishment. This dying breed, which became extinct in the early 80s, exemplified the theme, "The king can sever my head after the battle if he so wishes, but during the battle he may kindly allow me to make use of it." Brigadier Zahir stood out, unlike most career-oriented officers, for his scrupulous attention to detail in administration, man management and logistics, both in peace as well as war. We have suffered because these aspects were neglected, particularly in wars. Service with SSG had honed his practical bias. He was not a slave to conventions, SOPs and procedures. He followed them whenever they were worthwhile, but disregarded them if they did not make sense. He always followed the dictates of common sense. We all in the army know that, as well as in the civil, that subordinates are given tasks. How these are to be performed is left to the subordinates. However, since the 60s, senior commanders started violating this concept and micromanaging the tasks delegated to the subordinates. This tendency got worse as time passed. Brigadier Zahir never allowed his seniors to do this. A few words on the 1965 war. The raison d'etre the reason of existence of a soldier as well as the commander is war. Commanders at all levels are required to prepare themselves, the equipment and their outfits for war. Although Brigadier Zahir was on a course in United States during the 1965 war and rejoined after the ceasefire, you can discern his professionalism that he delved into various aspects of 1965 war, and in the book included a very authentic account of 1965 war, covering all sectors with excellent analytical comments. He commanded 2 commando battalions in the trying circumstances of East Pakistan, mainly in Chittagong, Rangamati, and in the capture of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in Dhan Mandi in Dhaka. He was then posted out due to friction with some senior commanders and posted to command 38th Cavalry in the desert sector of Reti Rahim Yar Khan. 38th Cavalry was raised just before the war with a mix of discards and some average soldiers from other units, and was equipped with Sherman II tanks, which frankly were not fully battle-worthy. He should have been given command of 22 Cavalry, which he had commanded earlier instead of 38th Cavalry. His conduct in East Pakistan before the war and with 38th Cavalry personified the saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Brigadier Zahir, while mentioning about the attack by 13 Lancers in Badapind, Zafarwal sector, in which Captain Ijaz Alam Shaheed was martyred, wrote that 13 Lancers was trained to charge an objective. They used their tracks, not their guns. When I read that, my thoughts went back to maybe it was late 70 or early 71. 13 Lancers had come to Kharia, and the officers of 13 Lancers were dining in the Guides Cavalry Officers' Mess. I vividly recall one Sunday morning, Ijaz Alam and myself, we were having breakfast together alone in the mess, in which he remarked that in a tank-to-tank battle or a tank versus anti-tank battle, it was really a firefight in which the side which had better gunnery and shooting would win the contest. He further said that movement is only used to get to an advantageous position for this firefight. He remarked that they were being trained, as were we in the 6th Armored Division, that the maneuver should be an extension of the fire base. The attacking force should be close to the fire base, which frankly made it a frontal attack. On asking my views, I told him that I fully agreed with him, as I feel that in such an attack, the defender can bring down aimed fire on the attacker while the attacker cannot. And if the defender does not lose his nerves and stands his ground and there is not enough suppressive fire, the defender would be able to cause a lot of casualties on the attacker. Ironically, Ijaz Alam was martyred in a similar attack, as also was Major Ziauddin Ahmad Abbasi, Brigadier Zahir's course mate and a great friend, and Lieutenant Hussain Shah of my units in the 1965 war in a similar attack on Gil and Libya. I read this book as a Lieutenant General and benefited greatly. I wish I had read it as a junior officer, which was chronologically not possible. Having been presented a copy of the new edition, I must commend the editor, Lieutenant General Tahir Mahmood Qazi, for the exceptional quality of work. I have read 2 other books which were republished by Lieutenant General Qazi, The Stolen Victory by Brigadier Sultan Ahmad S.A. and Bar, and Witness to Carnage by Brigadier Qarar Ali Agha. We must applaud his efforts for discovering these gems. Now it is the way it was, and republishing them, as most of these books are out of print, out of stock, and even vanished from some of the libraries. They will, inshallah, now become available to those young officers who are keen to read them. The cover design by Haris Alam is excellent. The color of the cover, black and white, which General Qazi mentioned, and I feel they symbolize the book. The way it was is black and white, no ambiguity. I thank the Alam brothers for inviting me as a chief guest. I also thank them greatly for republishing the way it was, not as a money-making venture, but as a labor of love in remembrance of Brigadier Zahir Khan. I learned that this is being donated to the military and civil libraries, as well as to some units and formation. I would also like to thank you all, the army of admirers of Brigadier Zahir Khan and the admirers of the way it was, for taking the trouble to grace this occasion. Finally, let me have the honor of paying my tribute to Major Mehboob Alam Khan and Begum Mehboob Alam Khan, without whom the legend that we recounted would not be complete. One can only wonder and marvel at the extent of their love, dedication, inspiration, struggle, and much sacrifice, which enabled this large band of 9 brothers to excel in their professional lives, in combat as well as character. It was Major Mehboob Alam Khan who set the trail blazing when in Burma during the Second World War, he beat back a Japanese attack on his survey team, for which he was mentioned in the dispatches. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran that when you come before me, nothing else will matter except do you come with a pure and sound heart, Qalb Salim. I believe Brigadier Zahir Khan will be looking down on all of us from the heavens with his mischievous smile, with great fondness and favor. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all members of the Alam Khan family who have departed in a high muqam in Jannatul Firdaus. May He protect the ones who are living, bless them with happiness, good health and very long life. Ameen. Jazakumullah khair, barakallah fi, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, General Yusuf Khan, for your gracious remarks and compliments for the Alam family. Ladies and gentlemen, with this comes the end of this ceremony. Taking the opportunity, I want to thank each one of you for making this book launch a memorable one with your esteemed presence here. We are going to have a national anthem. After that, I will request Alam brothers to kindly come on the stage for a group photograph with chief guest, and all the guests are requested to proceed for the tea beside the hall. You are requested to please rise for national anthem of Pakistan. I request Alam brothers to kindly come on the stage for a group photograph. तमाम मेहमानों से गुजारिश है कि बाहर हॉल के बाहर हमारी मीडिया वॉल भी है, यहाँ पर किताबें भी मौजूद हैं, यहाँ पर आप तमाम आलम फैमिली से मुलाकात भी कर सकेंगे और अपनी फ़ोटोग्राफ्स भी ले सकेंगे। आप सबसे गुजारिश है आपको यहाँ हॉल से बाहर जाके और हमारी यहाँ टी सर्व है।